I read this today. It's from Acts chapter 7. Read it. You know, most of the Bible talks about in the New Testament where Jesus is described as being seated on the throne. He's seated at the right hand of the Majesty. He's seated because the work was finished. But in Acts chapter 7, Jesus stands up. And why he did will wreck you. Seated in the Bible means complete, done, reigning. It's the posture of a king who has nothing left to prove. That's the Jesus that, is described everywhere in the New Testament, except Acts chapter 7. Stephen had just preached the most fearless sermon in the book of Acts to the same council that handed Jesus over to be crucified. They were furious. They dragged him out of the city. And Stephen, full of the Holy Spirit, looks up and he says, I see heaven open and the Son of Man standing at the right hand of God. Not seated. Jesus was standing. That's Acts chapter 7, verse 56. This is the only moment in the New Testament where Jesus rises. He doesn't stand for a miracle or a sermon or the disciples hiding in fear. He stands for a man being killed in the street for his name's sake. The king left his posture of reign to stand witness over one of his own dying for him. In life, we often assume that faithfulness costs us while heaven watches from a distance. We endure whatever we're enduring quietly. We suffer without fanfare. We wonder if the sacrifice is even registered. But something happened in heaven the moment Stephen's faithfulness cost him everything. Jesus moved. He stood up. Some theologians say that he stood up to welcome Stephen home, and some say that he stood as a witness, the way a witness rises in a courtroom to testify. Any of us would stand if we saw our own child being harmed. That would bring us to our feet. Either way, the implication is the same. Your suffering is not invisible. Your faithfulness is not background noise to Jesus. There are moments when your obedience makes the King of Heaven rise from his throne. Stephen wasn't a famous disciple. He wasn't Peter. He wasn't Paul. He was appointed to distribute food to widows, a table servant. And Jesus stood for him. Not for what he accomplished, but for what it cost him to stay faithful. You don't have to be important for this to be true for you. This thing that you're enduring right now, the faithfulness nobody sees, the cost nobody applauds, the obedience that keeps going when nothing gets easier, Jesus is not indifferent to it. The same Jesus who stood for Stephen is seated, watching you, and there are moments he rises. Stephen's last words weren't a cry for rescue. They were the echo of Jesus at the cross. Lord, do not hold this sin against them, he said in Acts 7:60. He died like the one he lived for, and the one he lived for stood up to receive him. That's what faithfulness looks like when it reaches its end. Not abandoned, witnessed, and welcomed. Jesus is seated because the work is finished. He rose once to stand for a man the world was killing for his name. Your faithfulness is seen. Your suffering is not passive background to a distant God. There are moments it makes him stand. Stay faithful. You are not